The alien ship appeared without warning above Earth's largest space station. It was massive, 3 times bigger than anything humans had ever built. Its dark metal surface seemed to absorb light itself. People on the station stopped their work and stared through the windows at the impossible sight. Admiral Ji-won Kim received the alert while drinking his morning coffee in his quarters on the orbital defense platform. He was a tall man with gray hair and sharp eyes that had seen too many battles. He set down his cup and walked quickly to the command center. His crew was already at their stations, faces tight with worry. "Sir, they're broadcasting a message," said Lieutenant Park, his communications officer. "Put it on screen," Ji-won ordered. The view screen flickered. An alien face appeared. It had 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern, blue skin that seemed to shimmer, and no visible mouth. When it spoke, the words came through a translation device with a cold, mechanical tone. "I am Ambassador Vren of the Kalth Empire, speaking for the Galactic Council. We have watched your species for many years. You are primitive. You are weak. But your planet has resources we require." Ji-won felt his jaw tighten. Around him, his crew shifted uncomfortably. "The Council offers you a choice," Vren continued. "Surrender all your weapons. Accept our governance. You will work for us and we will allow you to live. You have 30 days to decide. If you refuse, we will take your planet by force. You cannot win against us. We have destroyed 1,000 worlds stronger than yours." The transmission ended. The alien ship remained in orbit, silent and threatening. Within hours, President Hyun Lee called an emergency meeting. Ji-won took a shuttle down to Earth, to the underground command bunker in Seoul. The room was full of Earth's most important leaders. Military commanders, scientists, politicians. Everyone looked scared. President Hyun Lee was a woman in her 60s with kind eyes that now showed deep worry. She stood at the head of the table. "We've analyzed their ship," she said. "Their technology is far beyond ours. At least that's what they want us to think." "Dr. Nari Park, please brief us." Dr. Nari Park stood up. She was younger than most people in the room. Only 40, with quick movements and an even quicker mind. She had spent her entire career studying the alien probe that crashed in the Pacific Ocean 50 years ago. "They're advanced, yes," Nari said, "but they're not invincible. We've learned much from the technology we recovered. Their shields are strong against energy weapons. Their ships are fast, but they have weaknesses. They rely too much on their technology. They think in predictable patterns, and can we fight them?" asked General Hanasong, commander of Earth's ground forces. "We can," Nari said, "but not in the way they expect." Ji-won leaned forward. "What do you mean?" Nari pressed a button. Holographic images filled the air above the table. They showed strange weapons, ships with unusual designs, and complex mathematical equations. "For 50 years we've been preparing," she said. "We knew this day might come. We've built weapons they've never seen. We've trained in tactics they won't understand. We've studied every piece of alien data we could find. The Council thinks we're primitive. That's our advantage." President Hyun Lee looked around the table. "So we have a chance?" "We have more than a chance," Ji-won said. "We have surprise. They expect us to surrender or die quickly. They don't know what humans can do when we're cornered." A young man spoke up from the end of the table. Minho Bayek was the newest member of the War Council, a strategic genius who had revolutionized military planning. He was only 28 but already legendary. "I've run simulations," Minho said. "If we accept their terms, we buy time. We make them think we're defeated. Then we hit them when they're confident. When they've dropped their guard." "You want us to lie to them?" asked President Hyun Lee. "I want us to survive," Minho replied. "And to do that, we need them to underestimate us." The room fell silent. Everyone understood what this meant. They would have to swallow their pride. Pretend to be weak. Let the aliens think they'd won. Finally, President Hyun Lee nodded. "We'll accept their terms publicly. But privately, we prepare for war. Admiral Ji-won Kim, I'm putting you in charge of the military operation. Dr. Nari Park, you have unlimited resources for your weapons program. Minho Bayek, I need you to plan our counterattack." "What about the people?" asked General Hanasong. "They'll think we've surrendered. They'll lose hope. Then we give them hope another way," Ji-won said. "We tell them the truth. Not through official channels. Through whispers. Through secret messages. We let them know we're still fighting. Just not in the open." The next day, President Hyun Lee appeared on every screen on Earth. She looked tired and defeated. Her voice was heavy with false resignation. "People of Earth," she said, "we have no choice. The Galactic Council is too powerful. We must accept their terms. We will surrender our weapons. We will submit to their rule. It is the only way to save our species." Around the world, people watched in despair. Some cried, some were angry. But in secret military bases, in hidden laboratories, in the dark spaces between planets, the real work began. Captain Taiyang Cho commanded a stealth ship called the Shadow. He was 35, quiet, and moved through space like a ghost. His mission was to spy on the Galactic Council fleet that would arrive in 30 days. He left Earth's orbit silently, invisible to sensors, heading out into the dark. Commander Su Ji-yoon gathered her special operations team. They were the best soldiers humanity had, fast, smart, and absolutely fearless. She briefed them in a secure facility deep underground. "We're not surrendering," she told them. "We're setting a trap." In her laboratory, Dr. Nari Park worked day and night. Her team tested new weapons, new shields, new technologies that broke every rule the aliens thought existed. She barely slept. Every hour mattered. Admiral Ji-won Kim stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Indomitable, hidden behind the moon. His fleet was ready. 300 ships, all with their power systems running cold, all waiting in silence. He looked at the countdown timer on his screen. 29 days until the Council fleet arrived. 29 days to prepare for the most important battle in human history. "They think we're prey," he said quietly to himself. "They're about to learn that humans are predators." The days passed slowly. On Earth's surface, alien observers landed in major cities. They were tall creatures with gray skin and too many joints in their arms. They walked through the streets with sensors, cataloging everything, recording human reactions, making notes about resources and weak points. People watched them with hatred in their eyes but said nothing. They had been told to cooperate, to seem defeated. It was the hardest thing many of them had ever done. In orbit, Captain Taiyang Cho guided the Shadow through the outer solar system. His ship was small and painted with special coating that absorbed radar and light. To any scanner, he looked like just another piece of space rock drifting through the void. He found the staging area where the Galactic Council fleet was gathering. His breath caught when he saw it. "Count them," he said to his crew. 312 ships, Captain," reported his sensor officer. "Battle cruisers, destroyers, carrier vessels. They've brought enough firepower to glass an entire planet." Taiyang recorded everything: ship positions, weapon types, shield frequencies, formation patterns. He transmitted the data back to Earth using tight beam communications that couldn't be intercepted. "They're confident," he noted in his log. "Too confident. They're not even running full sensor sweeps. They think we're helpless." Admiral Ji-won Kim studied Taeyang's reports in his command center behind the moon. The hidden fleet had grown. More ships arrived every day from secret construction facilities in the asteroid belt. Earth had been building this fleet for decades, always knowing that first contact might mean war. "They're using standard formation Delta 7, said Minho Bayek, pointing at the holographic display. "I've seen it in the old probe's data files. It's designed for overwhelming a planet's defenses through concentrated fire. Very effective against divided defenses." "But we're not divided," Ji-won said. "Exactly. They expect us to scatter and panic. Instead, we'll be coordinated, united. That's something they haven't faced before." Dr. Nari Park arrived at the command center carrying a small metal sphere. Her eyes were red from lack of sleep, but she was smiling. "It works," she said, placing the sphere on the table. "The plasma lance. We can punch through their shields." She activated a hologram showing test results. The new weapon didn't fire energy beams or missiles. Instead, it projected streams of superheated matter contained in magnetic fields. The aliens' shields were designed to stop solid objects and energy weapons, but plasma was both and neither. "How many can we deploy?" asked Ji-won. "Every ship in the fleet can be equipped within 20 days, Nari replied. "We've been manufacturing them in secret for months." General Hana Song joined the meeting with her own news. "My ground forces are ready. If any of those aliens make it to the surface, we'll be waiting. But I'd rather you keep them in space, Admiral." "That's the plan," Ji-won assured her. On day 25, something unexpected happened. A small alien ship landed in Washington, D.C. Ambassador Vren himself stepped out, surrounded by guards. He had come to meet with President Hyun Lee personally. They met in the presidential office. Vren's four eyes studied the president with obvious contempt. "You have made the correct choice," Vren said through his translator. "In 5 days our fleet arrives. You will hand over all weapons. Your military will be disbanded. Your leaders will step down. The council will appoint governors to manage your world." President Hyun Lee nodded slowly. She had practiced this act for weeks. Looking defeated, looking weak. Inside, her heart was racing with anger and determination. "We understand," she said quietly. "We only ask that you treat our people fairly." Vren made a sound that might have been laughter. "You will be treated as you deserve. Your species will be given work suitable for primitive minds. Mining, construction, service tasks. Be grateful we allow you to live." After Vren left, President Hyun Lee sat alone in her office. Her assistant, Dr. Yuna Huang, entered quietly. Yuna was a xenobiologist who had been studying the alien observers in the streets. "I've learned something important," Yuna said. "These aliens, they're not all the same species. The council is made up of 12 different races. They have different biologies, different weaknesses. Can we use that?" asked the president. "Maybe. I've noticed they don't communicate well with each other. There's friction, competition. They're allies of convenience, not genuine unity. Not like us." President Hyun Lee felt a spark of hope. "Get that information to Admiral Jawan Kim immediately." In space, Commander Suji Yoon and her Ghost Squadron prepared for their most dangerous mission. They would infiltrate the Council fleet before the battle began. Get inside their command ships. Disable their communications. Suji gathered her team of 30 soldiers. Each one was the best humanity had to offer. They wore special suits that could survive in vacuum and blend with any background. "We're going to fly right past their sensors," she explained. "Our insertion pods are small enough to look like space debris. Once we're inside their ships, we plant the disruptor devices. When the battle starts, their commanders won't be able to talk to each other." "What if we're detected?" asked one of her soldiers. Suji's smile was cold. "Then we fight our way out. But we won't be detected. I've spent 5 years training for this exact mission." On day 29, the alien observers on Earth began boarding their transport ships. They were leaving the planet to rejoin the main fleet. Earth's surrender was complete in their minds. The conquest would be easy. That night, Admiral Ji-won Kim addressed his fleet. Every captain, every crew member listened to his words. "Tomorrow they come expecting to find sheep," he said. "Instead, they'll find wolves. We've prepared for this moment our entire lives. Our parents prepared. Our grandparents prepared. Every human who ever looked at the stars and wondered if we were alone, they prepared us for this." He paused, looking at the faces on his screens. Young and old. Men and women. Scientists and soldiers. All united. The Galactic Council thinks they know what humanity is. They think we're weak, because we haven't spread across the galaxy yet. They think we're stupid because our technology looks primitive. They're wrong. We haven't spread across the galaxy because we've been perfecting ourselves first. Our technology looks primitive because we've learned to do more with less. His voice grew harder. Tomorrow we teach them what humans really are. We are survivors. We are fighters. And we never ever give up. Every battle in our history has prepared us for this. Every war, every struggle. We are the species that climbed out of caves and reached for the stars. And no one, no alien empire, no galactic council will take our freedom from us. The fleet erupted in silent cheers. No one made sound that could be detected. But every heart burned with determination. Captain Taeyang. Cho watched from the shadow as the Galactic Council fleet began moving toward Earth. They were confident, relaxed, already celebrating their victory. "They have no idea what's coming," he whispered. On Earth, people looked up at the stars. They had received secret messages. They knew the truth. Tomorrow humanity would fight back, and the galaxy would never be the same. Day 30 arrived. The Galactic Council fleet entered Earth's orbit with their weapons charged and shields at maximum. 312 ships surrounded the planet like a metal cage. They expected to see a defeated world ready to kneel. Instead, they found silence. Every light on Earth's space stations went dark. Every satellite stopped transmitting. Every communication channel went dead. The planet itself seemed to hold its breath. On the bridge of the Council flagship, Ambassador Vren looked at his screens with satisfaction. They accept their fate. Begin landing operations. Secure the major cities first. The fleet began descending through layers of orbital space. Destroyers moved into position. Troop carriers prepared to launch. Everything was going according to plan. That was when Admiral Ji-won Kim gave the order. All ships emerge from shadow, light them up. Behind the moon, 300 human vessels powered up their engines simultaneously. The sudden energy signature lit up every sensor in the alien fleet. Before the Council forces could react, Earth's fleet came around the lunar horizon at full speed. "Fire plasma lances," Ji-won commanded. The new weapons activated. Streams of superheated matter, contained in magnetic fields and moving at incredible speed, lanced across space. They hit the alien shields and punched straight through like paper. The first Council ship to die was a battlecruiser. The plasma lance tore through its shield, melted through its armor, and ignited its reactor. It exploded in a bloom of white fire. Then another died, and another. "They're firing back," reported Ji-won's tactical officer. "Evasive maneuvers. Pattern Omega," Ji-won ordered. The human ships moved in ways the aliens didn't expect. They didn't fly in formation. They didn't follow predictable patterns. Each captain was free to improvise, to adapt, to think for themselves. It was chaos to the alien sensors, but perfectly coordinated chaos. Meanwhile, in space near the Council flagship, Commander Suji Yoon and her Ghost Squadron had already infiltrated 3 command ships. They moved through the alien corridors silent as shadows. The aliens never saw them coming. Suji planted a disruptor device on a major communication hub. The device activated, sending out electromagnetic pulses that scrambled all signals in a 3-kilometer radius. The command ship went blind and deaf. "Ghost 2 status?" she whispered into her comm. "Device planted. Moving to secondary target," came the reply. All across the battle space, Council commanders suddenly couldn't talk to each other. Their coordinated defense fell apart. Ships began making their own decisions, and those decisions conflicted. On Earth's surface, people watched the battle through telescopes and cameras. They saw alien ships exploding. They saw human vessels darting between enemy formations. They saw hope. President Yun Lee stood in the command bunker with Dr. Yuna Huang and General Hana Song. They watched the tactical displays with held breath. "It's working," Yuna said in disbelief. "It's actually working." "Don't celebrate yet," Hana warned. "They still outnumber us." But the numbers were changing rapidly. Minho Bayek's predictions had been accurate. The aliens had never fought a united, well-prepared enemy. They relied on overwhelming force against divided opposition. When that force met organized resistance, their advantage disappeared. Captain Taeyang Cho brought the shadow into the battle zone. His small ship was invisible to alien sensors. He positioned himself near an enemy carrier and launched a spread of small missiles. They weren't explosive. They were data warfare weapons, designed to hack alien computer systems. The missiles attached to the carrier's hull and began feeding false information into its computers. The carrier's sensors started showing friendly ships as enemies. It began firing on its own allies. "Confusion is spreading," Taeyang reported. 3 more ships are firing on friendlies. Aboard the Council flagship, Ambassador Vren watched his perfect invasion turn into disaster. 40 ships destroyed in the first 10 minutes. Communications breaking down. Formations collapsing. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "They're primitives." His tactical officer, a different species with green scales and 6 arms, looked terrified. "Sir, they're using weapons we've never seen. Their tactics are completely unpredictable. We can't establish firing solutions. Our shields are useless against their main weapon." "Bring in the reserve fleet," Vren ordered. "We can't reach them, sir. Communications are jammed." Dr. Nari Park watched the battle from the command center. Her plasma lances were performing beyond expectations, but she knew the aliens would adapt eventually. They had to finish this quickly. "Admiral, I'm detecting their shields attempting to recalibrate," she reported. "They're trying to adjust to our plasma frequency." "How long do we have?" Ji-won asked. "Maybe 30 minutes before they figure it out. Then we end this in 20. All ships focus fire on their command vessels. Take out their leadership." The human fleet concentrated their attack. Every plasma lance targeted the largest alien. Ships, the ones with the most communication arrays and command staff, Without leaders, the Council fleet would be helpless. Commander Suji Yoon heard the new orders through her comm. Ghost Squadron, new priority. Find and eliminate enemy commanders. Non-lethal if possible. We want prisoners. Her team moved through the command ship with deadly precision. They found the bridge and tossed in stun grenades. The alien crew collapsed. Suji's soldiers zip-tied the unconscious aliens and began downloading data from their computers. We've got star charts, fleet positions, and communication codes. One of her soldiers reported. This is a treasure trove. Extract it all, Suji ordered, and get ready to evacuate. This ship is about to have a very bad day. Outside, a plasma lance struck the command ship's main reactor. The entire vessel shuddered. Alarms blared in alien languages. Time to leave, Suji said calmly. Her team moved to their extraction point carrying their captured data and prisoner. They launched into space in small escape pods just before the ship's reactor went critical. Across the battlefield, the tide had turned completely. Human ships were everywhere, moving too fast, hitting too hard. The aliens tried to retreat, but Earth's forces pursued them. General Hana Song watched the battle with professional satisfaction. Not a single alien had reached the planet's surface. Her ground forces hadn't fired a shot. The battle was being won in space exactly as planned. Admiral Ji-won Kim deserves a medal, she said. He deserves a statue, President Hyun Lee replied. After 2 hours of fighting, the Galactic Council fleet was in full retreat. They had lost 120 ships. Their formation was shattered. Their communications were destroyed. Survivors fled toward the edge of the solar system in panic. Ji-won watched them go. He had lost 18 ships in the battle, 18 crews who gave their lives for Earth's freedom. He would remember every name. Do we pursue? Asked his tactical officer. No, Ji-won said. Let them go. Let them report what happened here. Let them tell the Council that humanity fights back. Captain Taeyang Cho followed the retreating aliens at a safe distance, recording everything. His data would be valuable intelligence for future battles. Commander Suji Yoon and her Ghost Squadron returned to the Indomitable. They brought prisoners, data, and stories of incredible courage. Not a single member of her team had been lost. On Earth, people poured into the streets celebrating. They had won. Humanity had faced the great and powerful Galactic Council and sent them running. The celebration lasted all night. But in the command bunker, the leaders knew the truth. This was just the first battle. The Council would be back. They would be angry. They would be prepared. How long do we have? President Hyun Lee asked Min Ho Bayek. The young strategist studied his projections. Best case? 3 months before they return with a larger fleet. Worst case? 6 weeks. Then we use that time to prepare, Ji-won said. We've won the first battle. Now we prepare for the war. Dr. Nari Park was already thinking ahead. They'll adapt to our plasma lances. We need new weapons, new tactics. We'll be ready, Ji-won promised. Humanity is good at one thing above all else. We adapt, we learn, we overcome. As the celebration continued on Earth's surface, the defenders returned to work. There was no time to rest. The Council would return. And when they did, humanity would be ready. Ambassador Vren's damaged ship limped to the edge of the solar system. His crew worked desperately to repair critical systems. Behind them, Earth grew smaller. A planet that was supposed to be an easy conquest had become a nightmare. Vren activated the emergency beacon to summon the full Galactic Council. Within hours, holographic projections of the 12 Council leaders appeared around him. Their faces showed shock and anger. You lost? Said Overlord Kraxus, a massive creature covered in black scales with red eyes that glowed with rage. You lost to primitives? They were not primitive, Vren said, his voice shaking. They had weapons we've never encountered, tactics we couldn't predict. They knew our weaknesses. Another council member, a being made of crystalline structures, spoke in a voice like breaking glass. How many ships did you lose? 120, plus 40 more damaged beyond immediate repair. Silence filled the chamber. The council members looked at each other. In 5,000 years of galactic dominance, they had never suffered such a defeat. We underestimated them. admitted Chancellor Voss, an elderly alien with white fur and wise eyes. We assumed their lack of expansion meant weakness. We were wrong. It doesn't matter, Craxus said. We cannot allow this to stand. If other species learn that the Council can be defeated, our entire empire will collapse. We must crush Earth completely, make an example of them. The Council voted. It was unanimous. They would send a second fleet, twice the size of the first. This time they would bring their most powerful weapons. Weapons that could destroy entire planets. Back on Earth, the celebration was fading. People returned to work with new determination. They had won one battle, but everyone knew more would come. Admiral Ji-won Kim stood before the United Earth government giving his report. We achieved surprise once. We won't have that advantage again. The Council will come back prepared. What do we need? Asked President Hyun Lee. Time, resources, and new weapons, Dr. Nari Park. Nari stood up, projecting holograms of new designs. The plasma lances worked perfectly, but they'll adapt. I have 3 new projects. First, quantum disruptor mines. Second, electromagnetic pulse cannons that can disable entire fleets. Third, something we call the displacement shield. What does it do? Asked General Hanasong. It redirects matter at the quantum level. Instead of stopping an attack, it sends it somewhere else. If they fire planet-killing weapons at us, we can send those weapons into deep space. Or back at them. The room went quiet. It was revolutionary technology. How long to build it? Ji-won asked. The orbital platforms are already under construction. We can have full planetary coverage in 6 weeks, Minho Bayek spoke up. Our intelligence suggests the Council will return in approximately 8 weeks. That gives us time, but not much. Dr. Yuna Huang raised her hand. I've been studying the prisoners we captured. I've learned something important. The Council species are psychologically unprepared for prolonged conflict. They're used to quick victories. A species that keeps fighting, that keeps adapting, they don't know how to handle that. So we make it long, said President Hyun Lee. We don't try to win in one battle. We make them bleed. We make them question whether Earth is worth the cost. Captain Taeyang Cho had been studying the data his ship collected during the retreat. Their fleet movement suggests their main military base is in the Centauri system. If we could strike there while they're attacking us here, it would divide their forces. That's crazy, said one of the generals. We'd have to travel through their territory. We'd be outnumbered 100 to 1. Or, said Commander Soo Ji-yoon, we'd be in the perfect position to cause chaos, hit their supply lines, free the species they've enslaved, turn their empire against them. Ji-won considered this. It was risky, but humans had always succeeded by taking risks that seemed impossible. We'll need volunteers, he said. This would be a one-way mission unless we can capture alien ships to use for return travel. I'll go, Taeyang said immediately. Me too, Suji added. President Hyun. Lee looked at them with pride and sadness. Very well. Assemble your teams. You'll leave in 3 weeks. That gives the Council 5 weeks to plan their attack. When they arrive, we'll be ready. And while they're fighting us here, you'll be tearing apart their empire from the inside. The next 6 weeks were the busiest in human history. Every factory worked around the clock. Every shipyard built new vessels. Every soldier trained for the coming battle. Dr. Nari Park barely slept. She moved between laboratories, checking progress on the displacement shield, testing new weapons, solving problems that would have taken years in peacetime. One night, she stood on an observation deck looking at Earth. Admiral Ji-won Kim found her there. Couldn't sleep? He asked. Too much to do, she replied. Every hour I rest might be the hour we needed to finish something that could save lives. You can't save everyone, Nari. I can try. They stood in silence, watching the planet below. Somewhere down there, children were sleeping. Parents were working. People were living their lives, trusting that leaders like them would keep them safe. Do you think we can win? Nari asked quietly. I think we have to, Ji-won replied. Losing isn't an option. In the Centauri system, Overlord Craxus assembled his fleet. 600 ships, the largest military force the Council had ever gathered for a single battle. Weapons that had destroyed civilizations. Soldiers from a dozen different warrior species. He stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Annihilator, and watched his fleet prepare. This time, there will be no mistakes, he told his officers. We will surround their planet. We will block any escape. Then we will deploy the planet killers. If they do not surrender immediately, we will crack their world in half. His officers saluted. They had watched the recordings from the first battle. They understood the humans were dangerous. But 600 ships with planet-destroying weapons? Nothing could stand against that. The fleet departed for Earth. The journey would take 4 weeks. On Earth, the countdown began. Every day brought the enemy closer. Every day preparations intensified. General Hana Song drilled her ground forces relentlessly. If any of them reach the surface, we fight them street by street, building by building. We show them what humans do when defending our home. Captain Taeyang Cho and Commander Su Ji-yoon led their strike force away from Earth in 20 stealth ships. Their mission was suicide unless they succeeded perfectly. But they were humanity's best. If anyone could do the impossible, it was them. Remember, Suji told her team before they departed, we're not just fighting for Earth. We're fighting for every species the Council has enslaved. Every world they've conquered. We show them that tyranny can be defeated. As they slipped away into the dark between stars, Earth continued preparing. Dr. Nari Park completed the displacement shield with 3 days to spare. The orbital platforms hummed with power, creating an invisible barrier around the planet. Any weapon that passed through it would be redirected, sent away, made harmless. It's beautiful, she said, watching the test results. It's our survival, Jiwon replied. The day before the Council fleet arrived, President Hyun Lee addressed the world one final time. Tomorrow they come to destroy us, she said. They bring weapons that can crack planets. They bring armies that have conquered 1,000 worlds. They think numbers and technology will win, but they don't understand humanity. We don't fight because we think we'll win. We fight because surrender is not in our nature. We fight because freedom is worth any price. And we fight because when humans stand together, nothing in the universe can break us. The speech was broadcast across every channel. Across Earth, people stood straighter. Fear remained, but it was joined by determination. Admiral Ji-won Kim stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, looking at his fleet. Still only 300 ships. Against 600, but they were ready. All ships report ready, said his tactical officer. Then we wait, Ji-won said. And when they arrive, we show them that Earth bows to no one. Overlord Kraxus's fleet arrived at Earth like a storm of metal and fire. 600 ships surrounded the planet in perfect formation, their weapons charged, their shields at maximum. This time there would be no mistakes. Humans of Earth, Kraxus broadcast on all frequencies. You destroyed our first fleet. That was fortunate for you. Now you face our true power. You have 1 hour to surrender completely. Every weapon, every ship, every soldier, or we will use our planet-killer weapons and turn your world to dust. On the Indomitable, Admiral Ji-won Kim listened to the message and smiled coldly. Send them our response. A single word appeared on every Council ship's screen. No, Kraxus roared in fury. Fire the planet killers! Destroy them! 3 massive missiles launched from different points in the Council fleet. Each one carried enough explosive power to crack a planet's crust. They streaked toward Earth, trailing fire. Around the world, people watched the incoming missiles on their screens. Some prayed. Some held loved ones. Everyone waited. The missiles hit Earth's atmosphere. The displacement shield activated. Dr. Nari Park watched her creation work perfectly. The quantum field redirected matter at the molecular level. The missiles didn't explode. They didn't impact. They simply vanished, sent into deep space millions of kilometers away. Silence filled the Council fleet. Their ultimate weapon, the weapon that had destroyed civilizations, was useless. Impossible, Kraxus whispered. Possible, Ji-won Kim said, though Kraxus couldn't hear him. And now it's our turn. All ships, attack! The human fleet emerged from hiding spots throughout Earth's orbital space. They had learned from the first battle. This time they used the displacement shield to their advantage. They fired their plasma lances through the shield, but return fire was redirected harmlessly away. It's not fair, one of Kraxus's officers complained. They can shoot us, but we can't shoot them. War isn't fair, Kraxus snarled. Close distance. Board their ships. Fight them hand to hand if we must. But the humans were ready for that too. General Hana Song had placed military teams on every orbital platform and space station. When alien boarding craft approached, they found soldiers waiting with weapons designed specifically to fight in zero gravity. The space battle turned into chaos. The Council fleet had numbers, but the humans had terrain advantage, better weapons, and the shield. More importantly, they had something the aliens didn't understand: desperation combined with hope. Every human fought knowing that failure meant the end of their entire species. Meanwhile, 4 weeks earlier and light years away, Captain Taeyang Cho's strike force arrived at the edge of Council space. 20 stealth ships against an empire. It seemed impossible. "We're not here to win a battle," Taeyang reminded his crews. "We're here to cause chaos. Hit and run. Make them fear. Turn their slaves into rebels." Commander Su Ji-yoon led the first strike. Her team infiltrated a Council supply depot on a moon in the Centauri system. They didn't destroy it. Instead, they contaminated the food supplies with a harmless but foul-smelling chemical. When Council ships received their supplies, the entire fleet had to deal with inedible rations. It was a small thing. But it was the beginning. Taeyang's ships attacked a military outpost next. They came in silent, launched missiles, and disappeared before the defenders could respond. The outpost sent a distress call. The nearest Council fleet rushed to help. While they were gone, Taeyang hit 2 more targets. "They're responding to everything," he reported to his strike force. "They think we're a major invasion." Good. Let them think that. On a prison planet where the Council kept slaves, Suji and her team landed in secret. They found the imprisoned species, beings who had been conquered and broken by Council cruelty. "We're from Earth," Suji told them. "We're fighting the Council. We're winning, and we're here to free you." The prisoners didn't believe her at first. No one had ever fought the Council successfully. But Suji showed them recordings of the first battle. She showed them Earth's defenses. She showed them that resistance was possible. "Help us," she said. "Take back your freedom. We'll give you weapons. We'll teach you to fight. Together we can tear down this empire." A species called the Tauren, tall beings with 4 arms and natural armor, stepped forward. Their leader, a warrior named Grath, looked at Suji with ancient eyes. "We have waited generations for this moment," Grath said. "We will fight." Within days, 3 slave species had rebelled. They seized Council weapons. They captured Council officers. They sent messages to other slave worlds. The rebellion was spreading. Back at Earth, the battle had been raging for 2 weeks. The Council fleet was slowly being destroyed, but they had numbers. Every day, more human ships were lost. Every day, more brave men and women gave their lives. Dr. Nari Park worked on new weapons even as the battle continued. She developed an electromagnetic pulse that could disable multiple ships at once. She created drones that could swarm enemy vessels and tear them apart with cutting lasers. "We're holding," Admiral Ji-won Kim reported to President Hyun Lee. "But we can't keep this up forever. Our ships are getting damaged faster than we can repair them." "Captain Taeyang Cho's mission?" the president asked. "No word. Communication is impossible at that distance. We have to trust he's doing his job." In Council space, Taeyang was doing much more than his job. His small fleet had become a legend. Slaves called them the Ghost Fleet. Council officers had nightmares about silent human ships appearing from nowhere. One of Craxus's supply lines was completely cut off. 3 Council garrison forces had been destroyed by combined human and rebel attacks. 5 slave worlds had declared independence. Dr. Yuna Huang, who had joined Taeyang's mission as a xenobiologist, worked with the freed species to understand their needs. She discovered something important. Many of these species had technology the Council had forbidden them to use. Technology that could help Earth. "Send this data back home," she told Taeyang. "The Tauren have shield generators better than anything we've built. The Merv have medical technology that can heal injuries instantly. If we can integrate this into our forces..." "It won't reach Earth in time for this battle," Taeyang said. "No, but for the next one. For building our future." Back at Earth, Admiral Ji-won Kim made a decision. Defense was important, but they needed to win decisively. "We're going on the offensive. All ships, new formation. We're going to cut through their fleet and take out their flagship." It was risky. It meant leaving Earth's defensive shield. But Ji-won had studied Minho-baek's strategies. Sometimes the best defense was a devastating attack. The human fleet formed a spear formation and drove straight into the heart of the Council armada. Plasma lances fired continuously. Electromagnetic pulses disabled enemy shields. Drones swarmed like angry hornets. They fought their way through 3 layers of Council ships. The Indomitable's hull took heavy damage. "Ji-won's bridge shook with each impact. We're taking fire from all sides," his tactical officer shouted. "Keep going. Target that flagship." They broke through the final line. The Annihilator, Craxus's massive command ship, filled their view screen. "All weapons fire. Jiwan commanded. Every plasma lance on every human ship in range fired at once. The concentrated barrage overwhelmed the Annihilator's shields. Explosions rippled across its hull. The massive ship began to list to one side. On the Annihilator's bridge, Overlord Craxus watched his flagship die around him. The humans had done the impossible. Again. Evacuate, he ordered. All ships retreat. Retreat. The Council fleet broke. Ships fled in every direction. The organized armada became a panicked mob. Human forces pursued them, but Jiwan called them back. Let them go. We've won. Save our strength for repairs and recovery. Earth erupted in celebration again. They had defeated a fleet twice the size of the first one. They had survived planet-killer weapons. They had proven that humanity could not be conquered. But Admiral Jiwan Kim knew the truth. This wasn't the end. This was just the beginning. The Council would have to respond now. They couldn't allow humanity to win repeatedly. They would come back with their entire military might, or they would negotiate. 4 days later, a message arrived from Council Space. It was from Ambassador Vren. The Council wishes to discuss terms. Will you meet with us? President Hyun Lee looked at her advisors. General Hana Song, Dr. Nari Park, Min Ho Baek, and Admiral Jiwan Kim. All of them had fought so hard to reach this moment. What do you think? She asked. It's a trap, Hana said immediately. Maybe, Jiwan replied. Or maybe they've finally realized what it costs to fight humanity. Captain Taiyang Cho's mission has weakened them from the inside. We've destroyed nearly 800 of their ships. They're losing control of their slave worlds. Maybe they're ready to talk. Or maybe they're buying time to build a bigger fleet, Nari added. President Hyun Lee made her decision. We'll meet with them. But on our terms, here at Earth, let them come to us. Let them see what we're capable of protecting. The message was sent. The meeting was scheduled. In 3 weeks, the Galactic Council would come to Earth to negotiate. Humanity prepared. Not for surrender. Not for submission. But for a new relationship with the galaxy. One based on respect, not fear. On equality, not domination. The war wasn't over. But perhaps, just perhaps, it could end without more bloodshed.